Hey, what's up, Suds? Ryan here, or MandRproductions, and today we're taking a look at a very iconic LEGO Star Wars ship. It's the Anakin's Jedi Starfighter, specifically the Clone Wars model. There have been two versions of this set, and you see them both in front of you. On the left, we have the 7669 version from 2008, which had 153 pieces and cost $20 when it was released. That is about $24 in today's money. The version on the right is set number 75214, Anakin's Jedi Starfighter. It includes 247 pieces and costs just $20, which is surprising given that the original one has about 100 and less pieces and costs the same amount of money 10 years later. I'm actually very pleased with the pricing on the new set. It's one of the better priced LEGO Star Wars sets I think we've had in the last 4 years, so that's really cool. Anyway, the two minifigures included in both sets are R2-D2, and Anakin Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker. Wow, shocking. So not much has changed in 10 years with these sets. They both generally look the same. They have the same minifigures. They have the same price. The piece count is drastically different, which is kind of surprising, and of course we'll look closer into that in a little bit, but I do have a fun fact about this first version on the left here real quick. It did have two box designs. It originally came out in 2008, and LEGO doesn't do this anymore, or at least they did it sporadically, and they definitely haven't done it recently. When this set released in 2008, they had a certain box design with Darth Vader on it, and then when 2009 rolled around, or the Clone Wars came out, they re-released it in a white Clone Wars packaging, which is weird. Usually they just kind of leave it with the packaging of when the set was released. So let's say a set was released in 2016 with the Rogue One box art. Well, now that it's 2017 and the Last Jedi box art is out, they don't change the box art. But back in 2008, they did do that with this set. So I just found that as an interesting fact. Anyway, let's put these minifigs side by side and see what's changed in the decade. The Anakin Skywalker minifigure has received quite an upgrade. He no longer has that good old LEGO Clone Wars eyes to him, like the googly eyes. A lot of people didn't like those. I kind of liked them. I thought it gave the Clone Wars characters a unique cartoony look that they kind of needed versus what we have here, which is a lot less cartoony to me. So he has a much nicer face, though, all things being said. He has a very cool microphone headset on him, which I think is a nice touch that they didn't have on the older version for the pilot Anakin. Also, just looking at the torso print, just a overall much more detailed print. You just have a few more layers to that print there that really adds a lot of depth. Moving down to his belt, the belt has a lot more going on as well. You have more things put onto his belt as opposed to the old belt, which just kind of had the connector and then had maybe the lightsaber holster or something on there. I don't really know what that is. And then of course the older minifigure was completely absent of any waist or leg printing, so seeing the waist and leg printing on the new figure is great to see. Also, the lightsabers are slightly different. You have the same type of blue blade, but the hilt now is that nicer dark silver color as opposed to the old one just being the light bluish gray, which is kind of ugly. So we'll flip these characters around back. You'll find that the older figure didn't have any back printing, just kind of a blank black back, and the newer version has much more detail. Now, that being said, the hairpiece is exactly the same. Maybe the coloring is slightly different, but the mold looks to be exactly the same to me. I don't think they changed it at all. Underneath, you'll find a second face for Anakin on the newer figure. You can see you get a more stern look, a battle-hardened, ready look. And then you kind of get a more just kind of sitting around doing nothing look. We'll put the hairpiece back on. It'll cover up the back face perfectly. You don't even know it's there, which is nice. The older figure is not going to have the second face. A decade ago, they weren't doing that, so there was no second face on that older figure. Putting the hairpiece back on, you don't even know, though. So that's what you get with the Anakin Skywalker minifigure. Bringing in the R2-D2 figures here. You'll see there is a pretty big difference. Again, the older R2-D2, just the older printing style on the R2-D2 is pretty rough. I think they changed this just after this set came out. They came out with the Clone Wars R2-D2, which was much nicer, but this set's R2-D2 was not that great. So you see that there, just the print doesn't even go all the way down to the bottom. Just looks really rough. The newer R2-D2 here from 2018 looks very clean. I love the silver head that they gave it. They didn't used to do that. Obviously, they used white, and it just didn't really match up well. This figure probably would have looked a lot better, even with the printing like this, if it had a dark gray headpiece there. No back printing on either of these, just the same old R2-D2 design with slightly different prints. No third leg, so I really want to see LEGO change that in the future. I think they could change that in the future, but for now, these R2-D2s very similar other than the upgraded prints. Same with the Anakins, really. Just not much has changed other than updated prints. No real fundamental changes to the figures. So let's take a look at the Anakin Starfighters, because that's where the real interesting stuff is. Both Starfighters are very similar in size, obviously designed off the same thing in universe, so LEGO's done a good job capturing the overall shape and design of Anakin Starfighter in both sets, I think. I think the big thing to me between the two sets, and it's a problem with this set, and it's also a problem with this set, I think the posture on this set, just like if you're looking at this set, and it's laid down like that, just the posture of the way it sits is a little bit lower. It's a little bit forward slanting, so I think it looks a little bit more dopey, I guess. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't look great on display like that because it has this awkward slant to it that I don't love. Versus the new one, which is a much more like straight up posture. It's like someone standing up straight. It feels like it's a much nicer, well-designed ship as far as the posture of it goes. I know that's a weird way to describe a LEGO set, but I think that's the best word I can find to describe the way I see these two sets. Now, the problem with the newer Starfighter versus the older one is the older one has 3 points of contact on its stand. All 3 of these are individually movable. You can move them up and down, and you for your landing gear. Like, it's pretty straightforward. Everyone knows how the older landing gear works. Now, that works great. Ship's not going anywhere left, right, like nothing's moving, right? It's very stable. It's got like a triangular stand there. Now, the newer one, it doesn't have that, shockingly, I know. The newer one, they've gone with this stupid design where it's only 2 points of contact down the center there. You can see that the landing gear here and just this back section is the only thing it's going to be touching. So you can put that up when you're in flight mode. But when you put it down, and you land the ship, right? It lands, it looks nice. However, this comes at a price. All it takes is one little tap and the thing falls over. It's kind of annoying. It's just gonna put it that way. It's kind of annoying for that to happen a lot. So I would say that the landing gear on the older one is a lot better. It's a weird thing to make a complaint about, but it's something I'm going to complain about because it's just like, why did they not do 3 points of contact on the landing gear? I don't know, but the newer one doesn't have that great a landing gear. I don't love that design, but I'll get over it. I don't play with it too much, I guess. Anyway, you can put R2-D2 in the cockpit area, or right in front of the cockpit, rather, of both sets, and you just turn the head a little bit, and you place them in there. This one, nothing much going on there. You just place them onto that little piece there, little jumper, circular plate there. Very simple, looks great. The older version, take the R2-D2 head, swivel it around one, just so he's facing forward. I always like doing that. And in there, there's nothing for it to really connect to, and we'll get to that in a second, because that's one of the main features of the older Starfighter here. But you can see with R2-D2 inside, they both look good. They both he just fits in there nicely in both sets, so no real complaints there. Now, obviously, there's no real feature with this one. You can just take him in and out, but the older one did have a feature with that R2-D2 section, and that is with this little piece in the back here with the blue tip on the end there. All you have to do is push it in really fast, and R2-D2 should come flying out. Just like that. It's kind of cool. I like that. That was an older, neat feature, obviously, LEGO. I think they did that in like the 2010 Plo Koon's Jedi Starfighter as well. Very similar set to this, just in a different color. And again, all you have to do is, I guess it got kind of stuck there. There we go. Push it, and he comes flying out. So it's a really neat way to get R2-D2 to come out of Anakin Starfighter, unlike with the newer one where you don't really have that feature. So that's a fun play feature that the older one has that the newer one doesn't. The newer one really doesn't have a feature like that. All it really has as far as feature goes are these stud shooters, which work like stud shooters. Very easy to use. They look fine on this set. I'm not going to say they stand out like a sore thumb like on some other sets. I think they fit in nicely, seeing as with the older design, they use these Technic bits here, and those just kind of, it looks very similar to what the older design looked like, so I think those look fine. I think the green tips on them color match well with the engines as well, which I think really helps there. Just having that same color on both just really does help it not stand out as much as I think it otherwise would. That being said, the engines on the older one, not quite as good as the engines on the newer one. You can see there's quite a disparity there. I love the black design for the engines as opposed to this light gray that just kind of sticks out at the end there. So I think the newer one's going to get the nod there for sure. And I kind of skipped over it, but the stud shooters do have an equal feature on the older one. That's the flick fire missiles, which you can't really flick under there. Like, it's kind of hard to flick at those. They're just at an odd angle with this plate in the way. So really all you can do is push them out. And even then, it's a little bit tough to do. And sometimes it just, like, I think of them more as like bombs you can drop as opposed to missiles, because they're not flying anywhere. Some spring-loaded missiles would have gone nicely there, but some flick fire missiles, they don't work too well there, unfortunately. The overall design of the wing, Both wings really very simple and effective. You're going to see the same or very similar design on the newer model, just going to look slightly better with more tiles. I like that. I think the newer one looks better in that regard. The older one, they gave this nice sticker here to add some detail. The newer one, that is completely missing, although they did add stickers up here, so it's kind of negated there. The older one didn't have stickers there. The new one does. Same flip-flop, so not going to really make a complaint there one way or the other. If you don't want to put your stickers on, don't put them on. It'll look just fine, but I think this does a good job of adding in some extra color on different parts and giving some contrast for the set, unlike the older one. So if you want to look at it that way, the newer stickers are a little bit better. The front end design is a little bit more sturdy on this older version as well. They use some nice pieces here with some good slopes, as opposed to this older one, which is just kind of plates. So I like the newer design better on the front end there. I do want to talk about the cockpits. We'll move in closer for that. Both sets have very simple cockpits. However, the older one has a much more squarish design. That cockpit piece has been around for a long time, and oh God, it doesn't look that great. So we'll pull it off here. It just pulls off. It's not like connected on any hinges or anything. Inside the cockpit, you do have a very small control panel. It's printed, which is nice, and you can take your older Anakin Skywalker minifigure, take his lightsaber off, and you can sit him in there. Unfortunately, it's not like on any tiles or anything, so it's pretty susceptible for his legs getting stuck in there, but you can just kind of place him in there lightly, and it shouldn't be too much of an issue. The cockpit windshield piece goes right back on, no problem, and he's in there. There is no clip underneath for his lightsaber to go anywhere, so you just kind of have to keep his lightsaber out of the way, unfortunately. Again, just nowhere for it to go on this particular set. Now, on the other Anakin Starfighter, we're going to find a different story. The windshield piece is on a very nice hinge, and it's also a much nicer piece. It's much more rounded, looks much, much better, and what you can do as opposed to the old one is just lift it up, and you have no problem getting in there. It also has a nice control panel. This one is also printed, which is a huge plus. Obviously a newer design than the version from 2008, so I like that. Anakin Skywalker fits in there. It's a little tight, but he does fit in there, and much like the older one, you're going to be able to close down the cockpit. I also love that they put this cheese slope back there. It's like a headrest. I think that's a really nice little piece to have there. Just looks really good in there, and he's in there very easily. Now underneath, unlike the older version, you'll find a little clip there, and that's where you can put Anakin's lightsaber. So you actually have a storage place for Anakin's lightsaber on the new one, as opposed to on the old one, where you're just kind of SOL as far as storage goes. Now, the back section here, the fin of the set, has a nice sticker on it. The older set has a sticker as well. It's just a little bit more of a flimsy design for the fin. You can see they also have the Republic insignia that you'll find on the newer version as well. Both match there, but the fin just kind of moves around a lot for me. It's on a clip in there. It's just not a great design as opposed to this one, which is much more solid and thick. It just looks so much better, I think, because it all just kind of combines or connects up there very well, as opposed to the old one, which has a little bit of space in there. I don't know if it's supposed to have space, if that's accurate, but I think the newer one looks better just objectively, not really knowing which it's actually supposed to be like. I assume the newer one is more accurate, but hey, sometimes LEGO gets it wrong and they don't really care. As far as the sturdiness of both sets, the newer one is much more sturdy. The old one uses these older style, like, Technic connections or whatever the heck these are for the wings, and that's how they connect up, and that's about it. Did my cockpit just fall off? No, R2-D2 fell out because he's not connected in. That's a problem. Can't flip your ship upside down without R2-D2 falling out. But the older, or newer rather, Anakin Starfighter has a much better design with these wings. They use these pieces here that just all connect in nicely with using Technic pins and stuff, and these don't bend at all, by the way. The only way they can come out is if you pull them out. It's pretty tough there. They use Technic pieces, like I said. So it's a very nice design that LEGO's gone with here. Other than the 2-point contact for the landing gear, this is an excellent set. So you're probably wondering which one I think is better overall, and that's going to be the 2018 version, hands down. The minifigures are better. The overall design of the ship is better. You're getting better value for your money as far as price per piece. I think the ship just in general is a much nicer design with much nicer sticker designs, much nicer minifigure designs, and other than the 3-point landing gear, which is the only thing I would say is better on the older version than the newer version, I think the newer version is a great set. I'm not sure if you can mod it to have 3 points of contact. I think the problem with this came where they were very tight on space there where the engines are, as opposed to the older one where there's a little bit more space, and they just really couldn't fit in a couple extra landing gear pieces, so they had to go with a much more simpler design, unfortunately. But Other than that, again, the newer one is a much nicer set. And on top of that, you can get it in stores now. You can get it at like Walmart for like 16 bucks. I'll leave a link down below for my Amazon affiliate link if you guys are thinking of picking one up. You can get it on Amazon maybe for like $18 or $16, not really sure. Anyway, vote on the poll right now, top right of the screen. Which Anakin Starfighter do you think is better, 2008 or 2018? It's been a decade. Maybe they'll make another one of these in another decade. I'd love to see it. I think this is an excellent ship. I think it's a pretty iconic LEGO Star Wars set, even though there's only been 2 of them. This set just kind of harkens back to the early days of the LEGO Star Wars, the Clone Wars days. So very excited that LEGO came out with another one of these. I hope to see more Clone Wars sets in 2019. I know it's a little bit off topic for this video, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Leave a like on the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.